Miami offense, 2023 to 2025. Miami's offensive balance during its peak period was not about having an equal number of running plays and passing plays. It was about structural equilibrium. In its best form, particularly during the 2023 season, the offense maintained symmetry through formations such as 2 receivers on each side, 3 receivers to one side with a single receiver opposite, and condensed variations of those same alignments. This symmetry prevented defenses from declaring coverage, pressure, or leverage before the snap. Motion forced defenders to communicate and pass off responsibilities, which created hesitation. That hesitation kept the middle of the field open, allowed the quarterback to throw in rhythm, and minimized exposure for a vulnerable interior offensive line. The offense functioned because it controlled information, not because it overwhelmed defenses physically. Defenses that eventually disrupted Miami's offense realized they did not need to stop speed or chase motion. Instead, they needed to deny leverage without committing extra defenders. The most effective defenses stopped reacting to motion and began pattern matching it, passing receivers across zones rather than following them. Safeties stayed square. Nickel defenders maintained inside leverage, and edge defenders ignored jet motion unless the ball was handed off. As a result, motion no longer forced coverage declarations or created mismatches. The offense still appeared balanced in formation, but it no longer created structural stress. At the same time, these defenses attacked the middle of the field early without relying on heavy blitzing. They placed a robber defender in the middle of the field or rotated a safety downward immediately after the snap. Linebackers widened their drops to close interior windows, and quarters coverage rules were used to bracket Miami's top receivers inside. This removed the quarterback's first read almost instantly. When the first read disappeared, the quarterback was forced to hold the ball longer, and the offensive line's weaknesses became relevant. Time to throw increased, interior pressure arrived, and the offense lost its rhythm. The final and most important element was the use of pressure threats without actual pressure commitment. Defenses showed pressure by mugging the interior gaps with linebackers and walking defenders toward the line of scrimmage, but they rushed only 4 players. This forced the offensive line to declare protection early and exposed the guards to delayed stunts and games. Because pressure was only simulated, the offense's built-in hot routes were not triggered. The quarterback was left holding the ball against a coverage shell designed to eliminate quick throws. This combination increased pressure rate without increasing blitz rate, which is the most damaging possible outcome for a timing-based offense. The defenses that executed this approach most consistently included the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore combined leverage denial, early middle-of-field removal, and constant simulated pressure into a single cohesive structure. Cleveland achieved a similar effect through front dominance and disciplined edge play without heavy disguise. Kansas City blended simulated pressure with late coverage rotation to create post-snap uncertainty rather than pre-snap tells. Each of these defenses forced Miami to abandon its balanced formations and search for answers. Miami's offensive response did not fix the underlying problem. Instead of replacing its base structure, the offense added variety. In 2024, it increased usage of heavier personnel groupings and reduced reliance on its original run-pass illusions. However, the running game from these heavier groupings became inefficient, which removed the threat that made play action work. In 2025, the offense continued to treat 3 wide receiver formations as its base, even after those formations became strongly negative in expected points added. This decision exposed the quarterback to more pressure and removed the structural help that had previously protected him. Ironically, The formations that worked best in 2025 were condensed and reduced alignments that shrank the field, forced defenders to declare responsibilities, and limited pressure angles. These formations simplified reads and restored timing, but they were used as situational tools rather than foundational concepts. The offense continued to operate as though wide, stretched geometry was still viable, even though defenses had already solved it. In summary, defenses forced Miami out of balance by denying leverage without overcommitting, removing the middle of the field early, and threatening pressure without giving the offense clear answers. Miami's offense collapsed not because of talent limitations or quarterback regression, but because it continued to operate from a structural framework that no longer forced defensive compromise. The next evolution of the offense will not come from more motion or speed, but from rebuilding its base identity around condensed formations that restore leverage, simplify protection, and survive pressure. Butch Barry has been the Miami Dolphins offensive line coach since 2023. Miami's official coaching biography confirms that he joined the staff that year and provides year-by-year notes on his work with the unit. According to the Dolphins' own team bio, Barry's offensive line group produced strong results during the 2023 season. The unit allowed just 59 quarterback hits, which was the fewest in the National Football League. Despite heavy instability, the Dolphins used 12 different offensive line combinations over the course of the season, the second most in the league behind only the New York Jets. Even with that level of rotation, the line surrendered only 31 sacks, the fourth fewest in the league. The combination of frequent lineup changes and strong pass protection is a meaningful point in Barry's favor, as it suggests strong communication, teaching, and organizational structure when injuries or personnel shuffles occur. Prior to Miami, Barry was hired as the Denver Broncos' offensive line coach for the 2022 season. The Broncos' official announcement on February 2, 2022, identified him as the offensive line coach and stated that head coach Nathaniel Hackett intended to run an offense centered on outside zone runs and play-action passing. That context matters, because it defines the technical framework Barry was expected to coach within. During the 2022 season, ESPN reported that Denver fired Barry as part of a broader mid-season coaching shakeup. According to ESPN, interim head coach Jerry Rosburg made staff changes that included dismissing Barry, along with special teams coordinator Dwayne Stukes. In separate ESPN reporting on Denver's outside zone system, Barry's coaching emphasis was described in detail. The piece noted that Hackett and Barry stressed proper spacing on the move for offensive linemen. This is a classic wide or outside zone coaching principle, emphasizing movement rules, spacing, angles, and avoiding defenders shooting through interior gaps. That detail aligns Barry clearly with modern, movement-based run schemes. By contrast, team-level trench metrics for the Dolphins in 2025 were not particularly strong. ESPN's team pass and run block win rate metrics ranked Miami 24th in pass block win rate at 59% and 29th in run block win rate at 70%. These are broad team statistics and do not isolate coaching impact on their own, but they do indicate that Miami's offensive line performance in 2025, measured this way, was not among the league's elite. As of the most recent pages reviewed, Barry has been reported, though not yet officially confirmed, as a potential hire for the Los Angeles Chargers as offensive line coach. From an evaluation standpoint, there are clear positives in Barry's profile. He has demonstrated the ability to keep an offensive line functional and productive despite significant personnel chaos. Miami's 2023 numbers: fewest quarterback hits allowed, while cycling through 12 different offensive line combinations. strongly suggest that he can keep a room organized and technically sound. His background also fits well with the Mike McDaniel coaching tree, as his work in Denver emphasized outside zone concepts and movement-based spacing that align with Shanahan-style offensive systems. There are also legitimate caution points. The Denver firing is a real blemish on his resume and is confirmed by ESPN reporting. That said, the Broncos' 2022 season was marked by widespread organizational dysfunction, making it difficult to attribute failure cleanly to any single position coach. Additionally, Miami's low pass and run block win rate rankings in 2025 serve as a warning sign. While they do not erase the strong protection results from 2023, they suggest that performance under his watch has not been consistently elite year over year. If Barry does land with the Chargers under offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, the early indicators to watch will be fairly clear. The first is the run game identity, specifically whether the offensive line consistently generates leverage and displacement in wide or outside zone concepts, or at least forces defensive over-pursuit. The second is pass protection clarity, including fewer free rushers and fewer mental breakdowns, particularly in an offense that emphasizes movement, play action, and changing the quarterback's launch point. Finally, how quickly the unit gels in the face of injuries or turnover will be telling, as the 2023 Dolphins example provides a reason to give him some initial benefit of the doubt in that area. To evaluate Miami's offensive line improvement, it is first important to orient the three datasets being compared. The 2023 table serves as the baseline year, featuring a relatively stable group that included Terron Armstead, Robert Hunt, Connor Williams, Isaiah Wynn, and Austin Jackson. The 2024 table represents a transition year, in which some continuity remained, but early warning signs of stress began to appear. The 2025 table functions as a stress test year, where pass protection issues were more clearly exposed and schematic protections were less effective at hiding weaknesses. The evaluation focuses only on players who appeared across multiple seasons, not on replacement-level changes. At left tackle, Terron Armstead's performance from 2023 through 2025 shows stability rather than growth. His pass-blocking grade improved numerically from 79.5 in 2023 to 84.8 in 2024. By 2025, his performance did not meaningfully improve beyond the 2024 level, though he remained strong when on the field. The increase from 2023 to 2024 appears to be driven more by contextual factors, such as increased use of play action, quicker quarterback releases, and improved leverage situations, than by true skill development. By 2025, Armstead had effectively reached his performance ceiling. Armstead's pressure profile reinforces this conclusion. The number of pressures he allowed remained low across all 3 seasons, and his pass-blocking efficiency stayed elite, consistently in the approximately 98 to 99 range. In practical terms, Armstead did not improve because he was already performing at an elite level. While he continued to be a high-quality left tackle, his presence alone was not sufficient to resolve interior offensive line problems. At right tackle, Austin Jackson's year-over-year data requires more careful interpretation. His pass-blocking grade declined slightly from 62.3 in 2023 to 60.1 in 2024, before rising to 73.3 in 2025. On the surface, the 2025 number suggests improvement, but the surrounding context complicates that interpretation. The number of pressures Jackson allowed dropped from 26 in 2023 to 15 in 2024, and then to 8 in 2025. However, The reduction in pressures during 2025 coincided with a significant change in usage. Jackson faced far fewer true drop-back pass sets, worked more frequently from condensed formations, received more help from tight ends or backs, and was placed in fewer isolation situations. These factors reduced his exposure rather than reflecting independent technical development. The conclusion for Jackson is that his raw grade improvement in 2025 does not hold up under increased responsibility. When asked to block in space or protect on long-developing concepts, the same weaknesses that appeared earlier in his career remained evident. As a result, the apparent statistical improvement is better understood as contextual masking rather than genuine individual growth. The final verdict is that Jackson did not show meaningful standalone improvement across the 3 seasons. At center, Miami's performance across the Connor Williams and Aaron Brewer archetype remained largely unchanged from 2023 through 2025. In 2023, Connor Williams posted a pass-blocking grade of 71.7 and an elite run-blocking grade of 90.5. In 2024 and 2025, Aaron Brewer's pass-blocking grades remained in roughly the 70 to 71 range, while his run-blocking grades fluctuated between approximately 75 and 91 depending on the season. While run-blocking at the center position remained a consistent strength, pass protection did not meaningfully improve year over year. The pressure and recognition profile at center further supports this conclusion. Pressures allowed stayed relatively constant across seasons, and there was no observable improvement in handling late defensive movement, mugged A-gap looks, or stunt and twist recognition. Protection identification issues persisted regardless of which player was at center. Taken together, the evidence indicates that center play stayed flat, with no clear signs of year-over-year skill growth in pass protection. The guard position provides the clearest and most definitive answer regarding Miami's interior offensive line development. Across every guard who appeared in more than one season, including Robert Hunt, Lester Cotton, Robert Jones, Liam Eichenberg, and Cole Strange, the pattern was identical. Individual names changed, but outcomes did not. For example, Robert Hunt's 2023 season represented the best guard performance Miami had during this span, with a pass-blocking grade of 74.4. By contrast, Cole Strange's 2025 pass-blocking grade collapsed to a catastrophic 14.1. Robert Jones posted a pass-blocking grade of 54.3 in 2024, while Liam Eichenberg recorded pass-blocking grades in the low to mid-50s across the 2023 and 2024 seasons. Despite these different players and seasons, the underlying performance profile remained the same. Pressure allowed by guards was consistently high, never showed a downward trend, and spiked immediately when quarterback time to throw increased. Pass-blocking efficiency numbers often appeared acceptable on the surface, typically in the mid-97 range. But those figures were misleading. They were heavily masked by quick passing concepts and broke down instantly under stress or longer developing plays. The overall conclusion is that no guard demonstrated sustained improvement from 2023 through 2025. Despite turnover in personnel, the interior offensive line did not get better. Different names produced the same results, confirming that Miami's guard play remained a persistent structural weakness rather than an isolated player issue. When evaluating tight ends as blockers, the data for Durham Smythe and Julian Hill shows only minor year-to-year variation rather than true development. In 2023, their pass-blocking grades were approximately 61. That number declined into the low 50s in 2024 before rebounding to the mid-60s in 2025, though only in limited roles. These fluctuations do not represent meaningful growth. Instead, Miami increasingly used tight ends as chip-and-release players rather than as true edge-setting or standalone pass protection solutions. For completeness, skill position blocking, particularly from Jalen Waddle, does not materially change the evaluation. Waddle's blocking grades remained roughly flat across seasons. While his usage as a blocker increased in certain contexts, his effectiveness did not change enough to influence overall protection outcomes in a meaningful way. Looking across all positions, a consistent pattern emerges. What improved were surface-level outcomes in specific years, such as cleaner-looking numbers in certain metrics, reduced pressure totals when quarterback time to throw decreased, and better surface geometry created through formations, motion, and condensed alignments. What did not improve were the foundational elements of pass protection. Pass block win rate did not trend upward, stunt and game recognition did not improve, independent blocking without schematic help remained unreliable, and interior anchor strength never materially changed. The final, direct conclusion is straightforward. When comparing the same players from 2023 through 2025, Pro Football Focus blocking grades do not show real individual improvement. Tackles remained roughly the same, whether elite or average depending on the player. Center play stayed flat. Guard performance never improved. Any apparent grade bumps disappeared as soon as the offense reintroduced protection stress through longer developing plays or reduced schematic assistance. The one-sentence takeaway is this: Miami's offensive line grades did not improve from 2023 to 2025 because the players themselves did not improve. Only the offense's ability to hide their weaknesses changed, and by 2025, that cover no longer held.